Just fucking do it. Subscribe now. Did it with government contracts. And he was not $750,000, $1 million, the stepping stone, which is what I recommend for everybody still. And you can do it as little as 26 days, but forget the pig fucker. You can do it, Amber did it in 60 days. Most of you in this room can last, gut it out, maybe lose 10 pounds. By the way, I weighed myself this morning. I weighed 231 and a half. My fighting weight is between 220 and 222. So I'm about 10, 11 pounds. And that 10, 11 pounds is right here. I could cut it off. But I'm not saying this, how in the movies and they see a vision. And I'm not saying this is that vision for you. But it's certainly worth seriously considering. Absolutely. And the government contracts don't have to be in healthcare, IT healthcare. They can be in all kind of stuff. And 95% of the stuff that he alluded to, your lawyers and accountants do. You don't. And I never have. When we talked at the Godfather series, and I told him some of the shit that I don't know how you did. It's not that I don't know how you physically did it. I've never heard of it before. I've been in this 50 years. Now, some of you will turn over stones and find things that I have never heard of. And I can assure you, if I've never heard of it in 50 plus years, why you're doing it is beyond my wildest comprehension. You will manufacture. Minutia doesn't make money, it makes more shit. And there's a couple of you that are control freaks, and it'll be harder for you. And I said at the beginning, I've said on YouTube till I'm blue in the face, not from inbreeding, from the hollers, but till I'm blue in the face, that for accountants, lawyers, scientists, astrophysicists, PhDs, and those kind of disciplines, this is harder for you because you didn't learn. You learned, when you get your PhD in math or whatever, it's a linear program. This is not a linear program. That's why it's called a quantum leap. And you're making those leaps, even though you don't think you're ready for them. You are ready for them, and you can physically do it. The reason the name of the program is Quantum Leap is the day before I attended a seminar in February 1993, which I met Bruce the Whipple, amongst a bunch of other guys. You're all up there now. I was going to a J. Abraham seminar, and I paid $5,000 because I was examining or investigating. I didn't call it due diligence then. All what I thought was my competition, and I had gone to. I didn't realize that they gave complimentary entry to these seminars. So of the 500 people in the audience, maybe 200 paid. Bruce and Whipple and I were two of those 200. But before I went, the night before, I'd seen the program on TV, which is still in reruns, Quantum Leap. About this guy that leaps back and forth between time zones and bullshit. And when they were passing the mic around, every third person, why are you here? What's your dream? Bullshit. And the little old, literally, a little old lady next to me, it was her turn for the mic, and people that were there, I remember taking the mic from her. I remember that. But I don't remember forearming her and knocking her into the row in front of us. I don't remember that. Somehow I blocked that out because I normally help little old ladies. And I took the mic, and I still remember I was wearing a pair of red pants, yellow braces, suspenders, and I forget what kind of shirt and a sports coat. I said, my name's Dan Peña, and I'm the founder, initiator of Quantum Leap Advantage. I made it up on the spot. And later on that day, I wanted to talk to Jay, and the little sycophants were around sucking his ass, literally sucking his ass. And I told him that he had talked about the house that he had on the hill in Palos Verdes. He got the story a little screwed up. And the house that he was describing was my house. I had a 180-degree view between Malibu and Newport Beach, and we watched the porpoises and the fucking whales swim by. And he said, would you like to get up and talk? And so after lunch, I got up about 1 o'clock, and I held the audience from 1 o'clock till 9:45 that night without taking a break, shit, nothing. And I knew this is it. But I had done a government contract already, but I didn't connect the dots. If you don't look at this, you're morons. Well, I think you're morons anyway. And you won't get every bid. Remember, he lost. And he bought the companies that were getting, and you mentioned it, he bought the companies that got the contracts. So he went one step. Instead of 101, he went to 201. And then we asked ourselves yesterday, why would they sell the fucking things? Okay, and I commented, or one of you commented, because they're desperate. Now, why would you be desperate if you had a $28 million contract with the federal government? We don't know, but we don't care either. And he bought all the companies that were in their first year of contract, and they were 5-year contracts. So he had 4 years left. But it took him 822 days. Does anybody not understand what he did? Go ahead.
Just if we're in a country with a failing government and all of that stuff,
Say it again?
If we're in a country with a fucked up government, is it best to just avoid this?
No.
I mean, I don't think we'll get paid.
Everything's relative. There's certain things in the failing government, which we both know which one you're talking about. And we're going to listen to Anelli in a couple hours. Some of his stuff is contractual. There's certain things that make sense and certain things that don't. Because Irish, you putting your head, you're scratching your head, or what? You got a question?
Yeah, I actually didn't understand it until now. So you buy the company, you try and buy the company that won the contract.
No, you don't try. You buy a company that won contracts. You buy a company that has a history. Now, I'm not saying you can't buy a contract that is bid for a contract and then we'll get a contract, but then there's no mitigation. The risk is on you. So we're buying contracts, in his case, with companies that already won the motherfuckers. So they're taking out the part that you're all worried about. Where am I going to find a joint venture partner? All that shit you're worried about. He took that part out. Took him 822 days. I would rather go do it myself and roll the dice and get it done in 60 or 90 days, especially since they let the contracts every fucking day. But he took that out. And he's looking for desperation, the D's, remember, blah, 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 blah. Divorce, desperation. Now, I said it different. I want the wife to be spitting up blood from emphysema, pushing her old man, as they used to call, I don't know if they call husbands anymore, old man in a wheelchair because he just had a stroke. So it's that DDD, I don't know what the hell you call that. But he's refined. I'm not suggesting you're refined in any way, shape, manner, or form. But I mean, and he went through it step by step. And then I got up and said that 95%, some of which I've never heard of, let alone done. Yes, sir.
I am still a little bit confused.
Well, you look confused, Are you sure that you weren't born when the bombs were dropping in Beirut? And then your mama might have fallen down, God forbid, and maybe you got your brains rattled a little? Go ahead.
You buy the company that won the government contract.
No, forget the winning part. They do government contracts. You don't care how the fuck they got them, right?
And these companies are listed. You look at the contract, you know who.
Yeah, thank you, yes.
Okay. I got it finally.
Yeah. You don't care how they got the contract. And in some countries, they got the contract, you know what I mean. But these are government, the U.S., there's not too much of that. You might take them on a golf weekend, and you can't even do that now. You have to write on expenses and stuff like that. Until 2006, in the EU, European Union, it was legal to pay bribes up until 2006. They didn't call them bribes. They call it entertainment expenses, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, you take somebody on a round-the-world cruise, how's that entertainment expense? And then 2006, the law changed, and GAAP, General Accepted Accounting Principles, which I already told you I don't like, deemed that you had, first of all, there's limits on expenses, and you can't, bribe people. Well, when you've got companies like Siemens and Mercedes and Ford, Europe, they've been doing business like this for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? And you've got tens of thousands of salesmen cumulatively in all the companies. And a bulletin comes out. Now they send you an email. But when the bulletin came out, who reads them? So the salesmen were still engaging, and plus their diary, their calendars are filled up with appointments already, 3 months, 6 months, 10 months, 25 months in advance. So you one of the guys that you buy from, well, we're going to go skiing at Zermatt, in ski season. That's 5 months from now. So there was a lot of people that were still breaking the law when that law changed. And now it's almost 20 years later, so everybody knows you can't pay bribes. But I doubt very much if there's any bribes involved. Even in minor, you might have taken a guy to lunch. Now you're not even supposed to do that. You can't play golf on the weekends. But those contracts were already obtained. The only thing that was in question was whether they were going to be extended. And remember, he said there was a 5-year contract, 1 year with 4 extensions, or 5 extensions, I forget which. Okay? But they're going to be extended because, those are fairly chunky contracts. And so they're not going to change unless they find some fraud, malfeasance, etc. And they only renew them now every year because of some of the fraud, malfeasance that's taken place in other parts of the world. And so he bought those, and he's about to close his third one, which is a top line, 12 or 15 million. And his EBITDA will go over 11 million, and hopefully he'll come back again later this year to get his Hall of Fame. But for 2 deals to generate 7.5 million in EBITDA is pretty fucking special. We've only had a couple that have done better than that, one of which is in Nelly, which I told you. I had about 32 or 33 million in EBITDA in 36 months. That's humping. When you see him, and he looks like a black vampire. He looks possessed, because he is. You look at his eye when you see him in an hour and a half. He looks possessed. There's nothing. The thrill, the agony of the thrill of success, the agony of defeat. That commercial on ABC used to be. He wishes it was 40 hours in a day. Back when I was doing that, I didn't want to sleep. And then when the 24-hour market started, when I first started on Wall Street, they didn't have the 24-hour market. But when the 24-hour market, where you could do something someplace, any place in the world, every minute of the day, I didn't want to sleep. Because momentum, the tsunami wave that's going to crush everybody, if you're, and this is luck, lucky enough to catch that wave, where you're riding it, you stay on that cocksucker until it ends at the beach someplace over the dead bodies. Because momentum is a motherfucker. It's very difficult to get, and it's almost impossible to get a second or third time. But he is He has now delegated those tasks, but he was so concerned that even the lawyers and the top accountants that he has were going to make a mistake. And so he did a lot of it himself. You heard him say he wrote his own LOIs. What a waste of fucking time that is. Especially when you're going to get the LOI. I mean, why would you do it? Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. But the important point is government contracts, health care. And he skipped the first step for bidding. He bought the companies that got him. And it doesn't matter why they sold him. Doesn't matter. You can see the conjecture and you can think about it from now until your next birthday. Remember, why they did it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You had a question.
It's like, say you buy one of the companies that has a 1-year contract that rolls over 5 times.
Correct.
Okay, on the 4th year, and it doesn't look like you're going to get another contract that goes another 5 years, what kind of exit strategy?
Well, there's 2 different exit strategies. Number one, because you've already got a government contract that has run 4 years, in the credit market, you're golden. Okay, you will be getting additional. You will be bidding on additional contracts. You're not just sitting there with one contract with 4 or 5 extensions. You're bidding on additional contracts. And then there's a section in the form. Are you currently servicing any other government contracts? You know, American, Israeli, whatever. And then you can say yes. How much, and they'll say, what's the size of it? And then you pass them through some filter, some algorithm, passes you to the next section. This is the beginning. Now, I told you the people that I bid against in 1981, 82 are still there. Bidding and fulfilling petroleum, jet fuel contracts. Of course, now they've spread to grease and diesel and God knows, tires and everything else. But they're still there. I did it for a reason. I wanted to be able to say I had $50 million in revenue. And I unfortunately, lose a whole shitload of money exploration to dry holes, which I then pivoted real quick, and all of a sudden I was buying revenue instead of trying to create it with, because exploration is organic growth. You drill more holes and you hope that you're going to find something. It's hard to find shit. In the business, they call it, how much grease have you found? That's how they talk about it. And the saying used to be, Texaco, before it merged, Texas company, they haven't found enough grease to comb the director's hair. That was insulting. You're trying to, enough oil, they used to put oil or cream on your hair to comb it. The directors have not found enough grease to comb their own fucking hair. That was like saying your mother was a whore. And it is hard. It is hard. And I'm not suggesting, in the oil business, when you're acquiring companies, you want to know who's staying and who found the grease, if any. And we were fortunate enough, we had 3 world-class explorers, and we had the guy that found the North Sea. So I had the biggest dick in town, because that was the biggest discovery in the last 50 years. And he was a little old guy named Bob Dyke, little old shit that he was. And I used to call him Dry Hole Dyke, because I've been insulting people all my life. He drilled 88 dry holes in the North Sea. 88! For Hamilton Brothers, they were bankrupt. But they tried to serve him papers out in the North Sea, nobody would accept them. They sink the fucking boats. When they came out to serve him papers for bankruptcy, liquidation, and the saying is you keep, the drill bit rotates to the right. We just kept fucking rotating to the right. We're going to drill our way out of this motherfucking problem. Just remember that. But instead of this is what you're going to do. This is your program. It's not a joke. This is your program. That's a real sign. I didn't make that up. That's from Oklahoma. There's no comparison. And that a psychic reading, but also a massage parlor with a happy ending. Every massage had a happy ending. Guys, I've seen it all. I know what works, and I definitely know what doesn't work. And with the templates and the stuff that you've got, or going to get in a few hours, it's just, we've taken all the ifs, buts, coulda, woulda, shoulda out. And it's not the best of practices. It's the best practices. And in recent years, we have people come up here and talk to you about it. And as Dan Locke and Bruce Whipple that came a few years ago, the only thing we don't do is sign the contract, have the contract signed for you. That's the only thing. Last night you saw Andrew Carnegie, right? My mental, whatever, okay. I thought of something else when I was taking a shower this morning. Every one of my mentees that's up there, and mentees that are not up there, and that are super successful, have one thing in common: they all meditate. I don't. Many of you in this room meditate. I said this 30 years ago, and I'm going to say it today. Meditation is for the weak mind. I'm not telling you not to meditate, because to a man, woman, and it, they all meditate. And I don't. Never have, never thought about it. Not interested. Some of my kids, their mentor is the Dalai himself. I don't get it. But I'm a lot of things, but I don't have a weak mind. I may be wrong, but I'm never in doubt. But I don't care if you need meditation as a crutch. I don't give a fuck. Questions, comments, queries about the midget, Andrew Carnegie. Yes, sir, in the back.
Just to go back to government contracts. So say you buy a utilities company that has a 5-year contract to roll out broadband.
We're talking IT, broadband.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your industry experts then would have to be in construction. Is that correct?
No. You want somebody that has done broadband contracts, like the Deputy Taoiseach that sold the band or bought for Ireland, the band that went from Ireland to New York, that big band. Okay. She didn't know dick, did she? She probably got a lot of dick, but she didn't know dick. Okay? No, you're reading too much into this. See, you can't believe that you don't have to know anything. So far, some of the, we could go out and cut the false information that the psychic bitch gave you, and all the people that made mistakes. But then, that's disingenuous, because then it would just reinforce that you got to know something. When I know you don't have to know anything, and I know the Viking bitch said it at least 4 or 5 times. I don't know anything. And she was a, nurse, which is just below a doctor. And she, she said, if you remember, she said, all I know how to do is buy shit. That was a quote, right? Does she say that she knew what she was buying? No. But she knew that in running surgeries, costs were paramount, Of course, now and I told you, insurance companies now are paying roughly 30 to 40% of what they used to pay back in the day. Heart transplants used to be 35 to 55 grand. The surgeon. $3 grand now. Now, I'm not sure. I want a guy operating on me. He's only going to make $3 grand. For 18 hours of surgery, being a doctor isn't, it was instant wealth. Anything about, yes, sir.
Could a former politician be a good chairman, even though he
Who?
has a former politician, even though he has no experience with transactions? Could he be a good chairman? Yes, with no
Yeah.
transaction experience.
No. Because the politician's going to fuck you anyway. He's more likely to stab you in the back, pick somebody else, pick a gangster, pick a drug lord or some shit, that knows how to have your back, Politician will just go with the wind. Okay, nothing about, you all understand that, and I know if you were 100 millionth as ruthless as Andrew Carnegie, you're a billionaire.
You say ruthless?
Step on your mentor, drown him. I mean, you're a gazillionaire. And remember, they told me I wasn't tough enough. I would have been the first trillionaire. If you just, were tougher, Dan. It's hard to believe that they said that, but I never forgot it. Just like the shit down my leg, I never forgot. And I haven't tried to be tougher. I am who I am. I've been like this since I'm 6, 7, 8 years old. And Sally says that I've mellowed a little. And the people that I've been in business with long term say I've mellowed a little. Okay. Now, is there anything from getting the chairman, thanks, YouTube, chairman, CEO, CFO,